We're going to begin our evening with our welcome from Mr. Bradley Helms.
My name is Bradley Helms. I am a member of the Baldwin County Commission's Department of Archives and History, and I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the department to the reenactment of the removal of the county seat, also known as Removal Day. We're holding this event to commemorate the removal of the county seat from Daphne to Bay Minette back in 1901, and this year marks the 121st anniversary of the removal. Thank you all for coming, and we hope you enjoy the program.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Felicia Anderson, Director of Archives and History, and I'm going to take just a moment to introduce some special guests this afternoon. And if you're here, would you just kind of stand up and wave your hand, okay? The Honorable Donna Gibbons, Alabama House District 64. Okay, Baldwin County Commissioner, District 1, Commissioner Ball, James Ball. The Honorable Commissioner Matt McKenzie, District 2. Honorable Commissioner Billy Joe Underwood, District 3. I'd like to introduce the interim county administrator, my boss, Ron Sink. And the Honorable Mayor of the City of Bay Minette, Mayor Bob Wills. We have Councilman Matt Franklin. He's District 3, the City of Bay Minette. And do I have any other councilman here? I know I have Councilman William Taylor. He's District 4. And the Honorable Sheriff Hoss Mack. Our Chief of Police, Al Talbert. Have our Fire Chief with us, Chief Michael Minshew. And I'd like to acknowledge the City of Bay Minette Parks and Recreation Department. Those guys did a great job helping us set up this morning, so I would like to acknowledge them. And we have some very generous sponsors that actually sent in a generous donation to help sponsor this event tonight, and that's the Baldwin County Legislative Delegation, Chris Elliott, State Senator, District 32. And Cliff McCullum, he's the Director of Constituent Services for the Baldwin County Legislative Delegation, and Councilman William Taylor. And last but not least, I have to say we could not have pulled this off without this group of gentlemen. Now, I can be pretty tough when I'm working. I mean, I'm just like, get it done. But this group of guys, it doesn't matter. When I call, how many times I call, they always answer the phone. They show up, they work hard. Our Parks Department, you guys come up. These guys are phenomenal. They built all of this by hand. They built all of our props today for this event. So I just want to say thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Okay, I'm going to get out of the way, and Ron, you're next.
Next, we'll have our invocation by Councilman William Taylor.
Good evening. Please join me in prayer. Father, we all come together to you today, praising you for this day that you have made especially for us to rejoice and be glad in it. Your words say, where two or more are gathered together in your name, there you are in the midst of us. And we ask, Father, that as we stand here today, that you let your will be done in each one of our lives. And Father, I ask right now that you bless every man, woman, and child that's here today, and that you let your blessings rain down upon us today. And Father, we ask that you let your peace be over us as we seek more and more of you each day, that we might tend to be closer to you. And Lord, we thank you right now for all that you have done for us. And we give you all the praise and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
If you would please rise for the presentation of colors by the Baldwin County High School Air Force Junior ROTC, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Kaylee and Claire Duro, and remain standing for the national anthem.
Color go. Hold. Left. Face. Present. Color.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward. March.
We will now hear remarks from Ron Sink, the interim county administrator.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a wonderful afternoon. Welcome to Bay Minette and to the Bay Minette Courthouse grounds. Couple of things I want to just quick remarks. The definition of archives is the preserving of records and artifacts of historical value. Very few counties in the state of Alabama have an archives department. We're blessed, truly blessed, with one of the best archives departments, I dare say, in the Southeast, even in the country. Couple of things Felicia was thanking everyone. I would like everyone to give Felicia and her staff a big round of applause for all their tireless work. Her tireless devotion to her cause as the archivist of Baldwin County is truly remarkable. I want to thank the City of Bay Minette and the County Commission and all of the volunteers that worked to put this on. Lastly, you need to see where you've been to see where you're going. Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment to introduce our judges for our contest that we have this evening. The dessert contest judges tonight are Blaine Chestang, Hooper Matthews, and Vincent Bradley. And down front here we have our period attire judges, Mr. Grant Blackburn, Mr. Johnny Biggs, and Ms. Ashley Jones Davis. I believe we've come to the time for the period attire contest. So if you have period attire and you've entered into the contest, if you would come down to the side here, or maybe we've already prepared.
My name is Martha White. My family is well known for having a flour mill. And because they were so famous, they wanted to come up with a name. And they asked my daddy, they said, what would you like to name your company? And they named it Martha White. And they said, well, why did you name it Martha White? And my daddy said that I was one of his greatest blessings. So I love my daddy, and I love making biscuits. So you come on out now, and let me make you some biscuits.
I'm the newsboy that brought the news about the removal of the documents from the courthouse in Daphne and brought it to the Baldwin Times in our beautiful city of Bay Minette to our beautiful courthouse, and we're all so proud. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Miss Cheryl Clark, who is Susan B. Anthony.
I am Susan B. Anthony. Give women the right to vote. And just think, when you do that, we'll have women on the Supreme Court. We'll even have a woman vice president. Women deserve the right to vote.
Next, we'll have Miss Claire Duro and Miss Kaylee Duro. This is Miss Annie Byrne, Bay Minette's first teacher and one of the town's first postmasters. She is headed to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic to the class in her skirt and sun hat. Miss Kaylee is wearing her handmade blue flowered dress, matching bonnet and apron as she makes her way to school, carrying her basket with her chalkboard for practicing her handwriting and an apple for the teacher. Next we have Miss Joanna Bailey. All right. Next we'll have Miss Tammy Smith, aka Pearl Smith. Her period attire was ordered from the magazine Amazon and was delivered via train to my home in lovely Bay Minette. So thrilled to live in this beautiful community that serves as the county seat of Baldwin County. Thankful husband Abner Smith moved the newspaper to Bay Minette. Next we have Miss Billy Joe Underwood, wearing an Edwardian era prom dress with navy and white stripes and black lace, equestrian Edwardian era hat, Edwardian period style jewelry with an authentic antique handbag. Donna Givens, a red and black dress from 1901 with hat and glasses as a reporter. Miss Tina Covington, dressed as Maddie Hand. Fabric was purchased at the old Mercantile and General Store on Hand Avenue. She saw a hat in the window and had to have it. And I believe that is all the contestants we have. Everybody give a round of applause to all the wonderful costumes one more time. We'll go ahead and introduce all of our important cast members to you tonight. I'm going to start with our storytellers. Robert Bob Wills has been a resident of Bay Minette for more than 40 years. He's married to Betty Lou Mitchell Wills, and they have 3 children and 9 grandchildren, all living in Bay Minette. He is a 1970 graduate of Auburn University with a BS in economics and a graduate from Emory University School of Law with a Juris Doctor in 1973. He is a lawyer, and his firm, Robert A. Wills Attorney at Law, is based in Bay Minette. Mayor Wills is a member of the First United Methodist Church of Bay Minette, where he serves as a choir member and Sunday school teacher. Our other storyteller tonight is Cliff McCollum. Cliff is the Director of Constituent Services for the Baldwin County Legislative Delegation. Cliff is a native of Opelika and resident of Barnwell. A former journalist with the Gulf Coast newspapers in Baldwin County, McCollum has won more than 20 Alabama Press Association awards, including the prestigious Freedom of Information First Amendment Award twice and the Best Public Service Award. Some of our folks in the story tonight, we have Commissioner Matthew P. McKenzie playing George Hoyle of the Daphne Times, Chief Michael Minshew playing Abner Smith, the editor for the Baldwin Times, Tammy Smith playing Pearl Smith, the wife of Abner Smith. Chief Al Tolbert will be playing J.D. Hand this evening. Tina Covington is Maddie Hand. Al Thompson is Senator Daniel Hall. Mayor Bob Wills will be playing Leslie Hall, attorney for J.D. Hand in the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Jeb Ball is playing O.E. McMillan. Jesse Peacock is playing J.B. Blackburn. Sam Curry will be Stephen J. Boykin this evening. James Swearingen will be Judge Charles Hall. Jesse Eichner is playing Russell Dick. Cleo Bird will be Frederick Richardson. Sheriff Hosmack is Sheriff of Baldwin County, George B. Bryant. Martha Ryan is playing a Bay Minette citizen. The Honorable Donna Givens is a Baldwin Times reporter from Daphne. Leanna Barnett is also a Baldwin Times reporter. Joshua Howard is the anxious voter. The Honorable Billy Joe Underwood is a Southern reporter. Councilman Matt Franklin is also a Bay Minette citizen. Cliff McCollum is a concerned Daphne citizen. And Blaine Chestang is Hooper Matthews, Scott Taylor Company's C&D. And our townspeople this evening will be Martha Ryan, Claire Duro, Callie Duro, Leanna Barnett, Susan Lovett, Tina Covington, Joanna Mosley Bailey, Cheryl Clark, Commissioner Billy Joe Underwood, a Daphne townsperson, Donna Givens, a Daphne townsperson, and your MC and narrator for the evening is Josh Howard. And now we hear from everybody. Take a bow. Thank you so much for coming out. And now we will begin with Miss Felicia Anderson.
For 121 years, there has been a debate about how Bay Minette became the county seat. On February 5th, 1901, Alabama legislature passed an act, Act Number 267, to move the county seat from Daphne to Bay Minette. Now, Daphne was the county seat in 1868 when the rivers made it an ideal location for transportation to and from Mobile. But with the extension of the new railroad in Bay Minette, a debate spurred about moving the county seat from Daphne to Bay Minette. Listen to the story.
My name is George H. Hoyle, and I am the founder and editor of the Daphne newspaper. I was born February 24th, 1808, near Carpenter Station in Baldwin County. I worked in real estate trade early in the 1800s. In April of 1890, I began publishing the Daphne Times and was elected clerk of the circuit courts in November of 1893. I had faith in the growth of Baldwin County because this county had more resources than any place I've ever known. Because I was elected official, J.D. Hand prevailed upon me and Senator Daniel Hall to support legislation to change the county seat to Bay Minette.
My name's Abner Smith. I'm a local lawyer. I purchased the Daphne Times from a foreclosure auction and for $75 in 1894. In 1895, I changed the name to the Baldwin Times. We had about 250 subscribers. In 1901, we moved the paper to Bay Minette from Daphne. I became ill and sold the paper to Ira Jones in 1905. But later, I purchased the paper back and run it from 1911 to 1922.
I'm Pearl Smith, and I'm the wife of Abner.
Hello, everybody. I'm James David Hand. I was born in Jemison, Alabama on November the 25th of 1870. When I came to Bay Minette, I purchased a sawmill near Dolee Settlement, just 2 miles from the courthouse. I operated the sawmill to 1902. I also owned the Bay Minette Hand Land Company and was the one who laid out the plat for the town. Me and the courthouse committee members laid the plans to put the cornerstone in the building, a time capsule marked by the Masons to be opened on the 100-year anniversary. Due to the square-shaped lot the courthouse is located on, even today, traffic still goes one way around the courthouse. Citizens and town people from all parts of the state purchased business lots. The earliest known families were the Mixons, the Moores, the Cahaleys, the Irwins, and the Blackmans. I was involved in the schools throughout the county and laid out the plans for the Bay Minette schools. In 1920, the high school and grade school were built. The old family home, which was built in 1896, still stands today. There are only 2 colonial-style homes built of this kind. The Hampton D. Ewing from New York bought the Hand Land Company and all the holdings in October 11, 1906. I have been credited for contributing to growth and prosperity in Bay Minette, Alabama.
And I'm Maddie Hand. I'm married to J.C. Hand, and I'm also from Jemison, Alabama originally. And I have 2 brothers and 1 sister, Mrs. J.C. McLeod. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Senator Daniel Hall. In 1900, I was the only elected official in Baldwin County that lived in Tensall. Tensall is in North Baldwin County. J.D. Hand approached myself and Representative George Hoyle to sponsor legislation to change the county seat of Baldwin County to Bay Minette. I supported that legislation to move the county seat to Bay Minette because I firmly believe that the county seat belongs in Bay Minette.
My name is Leslie Hall. I'm the lawyer for Baldwin County, and I also represent J.D. Hand and the Baldwin County Courthouse Commission.
Good evening. My name is O.E. McMillan, and I was charged with the building of the Bay Minette Courthouse. I was part of the committee that was served on the board. I was one of the first people that Mr. Hand selected to help get this property acquired, as he generously donated this land to us for this building. I brought to court a signed document, a petition for the removal of this county seat.
Good morning. I'm J.B. Blackburn. I'm a member of the building committee which built this beautiful new courthouse, and one of the first to suggest to Mr. Hand that we go down to Daphne and secure them records and bring them back here to our beautiful new courthouse which faces Mobile Bay.
How y'all doing? My name is Stephen Borkins. I'm a self-educated man, a teacher, and a principal. I support the publication for founding of a normal school in Bay Minette, Alabama in 1899. I also wrote and published American Banner newspaper, and the newspaper was printed in my home twice monthly and circulated. In September of 1899, the paper was printed to February 1902. In fact, I have a copy of the paper right here. I'll be going with a group of men to Daphne, Alabama, to secure the courthouse records.
Good afternoon. I'm the Honorable Judge Charles Hall. My family moved here and settled in Baldwin County in 1811. I am the son of Charles Hall I and Aurelia Dupree. I was married to Mary Byrne. I was elected sheriff in 1850, and I served for 3 years. I was also elected tax collector. And during that time, I brought forth plans to build the courthouse in Daphne, Alabama. The plans were made during a lot of change in the county due to the war in Blakely and the yellow fever epidemic. I remember my first visit to Daphne as a tax collector. I was quoted as saying, "This place looks like a pine thicket." My most familiar saying is, "An honest man is a noblest work of God." I served as the probate judge, tax collector, and sheriff of Baldwin County. I also served as a commissioner of Baldwin County from 1894 to 1905. I personally supervised the moving of the records from Daphne to Bay Minette. Everything was removed from the circuit courtroom, including my desk.
I am J.W. Creamer, and I am a staunch anti-removalist from the Jubilee City, that pearl of Mobile Bay, Daphne. Don't nobody care, y'all can't vote no way. Now look, Daphne is the ideal location for this county seat due to its numerous water resources. I know there's all this talk about this railroad that might be coming over here, connect us to Mobile and Florida. We don't need it. Keep the seat in Daphne.
Hi, I'm Russell Dick. I am a successful businessman in Daphne. I work and cook during the Civil War, the section of Methodist Church. Custodian for the courthouse, cook for the jail. I require much land in Daphne area. Became owner of most of downtown Daphne. I have in my hand the paperwork to prove that Debbie D. Randolph paid me $8.25 per 100 acres of land from the Southland Section 17 Conjunction land, now owned by me and Township Daphne, 5 South Range to 2 East Baldwin County, Alabama. All timber taken from the said land. The document was signed, sealed on March 11, 1897. I currently work for the county courthouse and jail. I operate the water system. This here in my hands is a copy of the official bid that I submitted to the Commissioner of Baldwin County for all the work I performed. I was working the day they came and took the jail. That was the day. I tell you, that was the day. They took the jailhouse, including the county, all the jailhouse boys.
I am Fred Scott. I got arrested for breaking in Miss Lee's house at Hurricane Bayou.
I am George B. Bright, the sheriff of Baldwin County. I served until 1903, and I am the sheriff of Baldwin County, where the county seat is in Daphne, and where Daphne is going to stay.
Prior to 1901, as a result of careful planning, Bay Minette decided that the governmental center for the county should be at Bay Minette, and they had included a courthouse square when the town was laid out and built a courthouse. Reports show the cooperation of some public officials. 2 acts of the Alabama legislature, a lawsuit, and a courthouse construction predated the physical transfer. 4 years later, after 3 appeals and the passage of another legislative act, determined the legality of the removal in Bay Minette's favor. An account of the courthouse transfer appeared in the Old Mobile News item on October the 13th, 1901, while the news was hot. Information gleaned from the story declared that the state legislature approved and gave citizens of Bay Minette the right to move the courthouse from Daphne to Bay Minette, but made no provisions for the removal. So, a group headed by J.D. Hand, J.B. Blackburn, and O.E. McMillan began the process to move in on Daphne, secure the records, and move them to the new courthouse in Bay Minette. Yay!
I am a reporter, and a reporter has never met a microphone they didn't like. So I'm going to report to you this evening. We have been informed that a movement is now on foot to move the county seat of Baldwin County from Daphne to Bay Minette on the L&N Railroad. And petitions pro and con are being circulated among the citizens of the county. This proposition made by the people of Bay Minette is, as we understand it, to contribute the amount necessary to the removal, and that the taxpayers will now be called upon for any extra assessment. We have not examined the law on the subject, but are advised that a majority of the signers must be obtained to petition for an act of the legislature calling on an election which a majority of the legal voters of the county must decide the matter. We are informed that during November 1900, Hand sent canvassers to the populated areas of the county seeking signatures on a petition supporting removal legislation. Edward Quincy Norton, as chairman of the citizens, attested that they signed both petitions. Representative Hull claimed that the removalist petition contained 1,344 names. But if contested entries were deleted, 1,115 remained as opposed to the 886 on Norton's resistance. In this, as in all other matters affecting the interest of our people, the Times stands ready to give both sides a fair hearing. If the county seat remains in Daphne, the Times will remain in Daphne. If it goes to Bay Minette or even to Polecat Creek, we will follow it to look out for the interest of our taxpayers. The Baldwin Times, Thursday, November 29, 1900.
I am a Baldwin Times reporter reporting Daphne News. Today's report is from the Baldwin Times. Bay Minette gives many reasons why it should have the county seat. The editor is Abner J. Smith. It's on Thursday, December 6th, 1900. There are times when one wants to be alone, but at the present writing, everybody's kinfolks are together, and all are working for the removal of the courthouse from Daphne to Bay Minette, the coming metropolis of Baldwin County. There is no fair-minded person in the county who can deny the fact that it is to the best interest to the county as a whole for the courthouse to come to Bay Minette. Though, of course, there may be, and I'm pretty sure that there are people in some parts of the county who have their own personal interests at heart and are therefore against us. But nevertheless, the movement has many ardent supporters, even in Daphne and the southern portion of the county. In this part of the county, the writer has heard of but one man who is opposed to the removal, and he is a county official who thinks it's proper to stand up for the present county seat. The more the matter is considered, the more reasons are brought forward for the removal. And to bear me out in this assertion, I give below some of those reasons. The courthouse should be at Bay Minette because it's nearer the center of population than any other town in the county. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because it's more accessible to the majority of the people in the county than any other town in the county. The courthouse should be at Bay Minette because by virtue of the above reasons, the county would save enough in mileage paid to witnesses and jurymen in a few years to build a courthouse. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because the citizens will sell land there and will invite immigration and thereby increase the population of the county 50% in a few years and add to the property value of the county more than this percentage, thereby considerably reducing the taxes of the people. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because it can be located there without increasing the present tax 1 cent. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because this town has more natural advantages than any other town, thereby enabling it to do better to a greater number of people than Daphne or any other town in the county. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because Daphne can never expect to be of any consequence in the commercial world on account of its location, while Bay Minette will soon stand side by side with such towns as Bruton, Evergreen, and Greenville. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because it has excellent railroad facilities, telegraph and long-distance telephone offices, giving it instant communication with all parts of the civilized world, and which advantages are essential to the county site from any county in any state in the Union. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because it's now the largest town in the county, and with the courthouse to add to its natural location and the opening of the surrounding county, it would soon be a town to which the people would point with pride. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because it's the proper place from a logical standpoint, and on the other hand, there never was a valid reason why it should have been located in Daphne. The courthouse should be in Bay Minette because from all of the above reasons, it's plain to be seen that it would cause dear old Baldwin to come out from the pines and the unsettled hills and valleys and hills and plains and valleys and take on a new growth of population, enlarging its livestock interests and developing its dormant agricultural advantages until it would verily blossom as the rose. 3 cheers for Baldwin County when the courthouse comes to Bay Minette. 3 cheers for its many poor people who would have been given honest employment from New Year's to Christmas for all time to come. 3 cheers from all the best possible move that Baldwin County could make. Do this and but this, and more than I have recited will come to pass.
Now, I've heard a lot of talk down this way recently about the courthouse being moved from Daphne to Bay Minette. And I'd like to know a few things about it and express my opinion on the subject. In the first place, how are they going to move it? Do you reckon they can dump the whole thing on an ox cart and haul it to Bay Minette? Or will Russell Dick be engaged to take it up there one brick at a time? Also, if they decide to move it the first named way and it should drop off the hind end of the cart while going up a hill, what would you do about it? Also, again, the law says no liquor shall be sold within 6 miles of the courthouse. If there's anybody selling liquor on the road between Daphne and Bay Minette, would the dealers have to quit selling the stuff when the courthouse came by and then stay quiet until it got 6 miles away? These are questions people should give serious consideration. For myself, I'm against the scheme. Our courthouse now occupies a commanding position. It looms up over Daphne like the Washington Monument in a graveyard. Upon its steps, many of our leading citizens have squatted for hours during court week while their anxious gaze turned to the west, waiting for the boat that would bring them relief in a jug. Our courthouse has become the silent and true companion of the homeless goats, razorbacks, and other animals which have for so long gambled upon the green which surrounds it. Perhaps its present site would be turned into a cornfield, and these brutes would have to seek a new home. It would be cruelty to animals, and the next grand jury should indict everyone responsible. I believe the courthouse would cry out itself in protest if only it could speak. If taken to Bay Minette, a fence might be built around it, and other things might be done which would lead people who are not acquainted with us to get the idea that we're becoming progressive. There's a railroad up there, too. Some of our Daphne friends might go to court and get run over or scared into fits by the locomotive. See, Bay Minette people are entirely too progressive. I hear, and they think their town ought to grow. They may put up some big business houses and do other things that show a worldly and sinful spirit. If we let them carry the courthouse up there, we'd be encouraging them in their wickedness. And as a consistent member of the church and Democratic Party, I'm opposed to all such newfangled ideas. Lawsuits are being filed against Hand and the other commissioners seeking a permanent injunction against the removal of the county seat from Daphne and the construction of a courthouse in Bay Minette.
I am a reporter from the Southern Reporter. The Southern Reporter is the unofficial regional reporter series that reports on the decisions of the Supreme Courts in Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, and Mississippi. The act authorizing the removal of the courthouse from Daphne to Bay Minette was unconstitutional and void. Number one, because the provision of said act were so self-contradictory and uncertain as to make the act itself inoperative. And number two, because the provisions of the 10th section of the act had never been complied with, so as to put the act into effect. The bill as thus framed was demurred to. The demur is overruled, and the case appealed to the Supreme Court. The cause was there considered, and the decree of the Chancery Court reversed, and case remanded. Alabama 156, 33 South, 689. After the case was remanded, the bill was amended so as to specifically allege the fact that the courthouse commissioners had never ascertained that the courthouse and jail could be built in Bay Minette upon the lot donated out of the subscription, the proceeds arising from the sale of the property owned by the county at Daphne, and such sums of money as the county could appropriate during the year. 1901, without increasing the tax for that year, and affirmatively averred that, on the contrary, the courthouse commissioners ascertained that such payments could only be made by pledging the revenue of the county through a long series of years or by increasing the rate of taxation. The amendment in the 5th paragraph of the bill also charges that the act is unconstitutional and void, and therefore the payments provided to be made by the county as purchase were not authorized by the act, and if made at all, had to be made under the act authorizing the removal of the courthouse. There were no requirements in the act approved providing for the removal of the county seat of Baldwin County.
We, the citizens of Bay Minette, are in favor of moving the courthouse to Bay Minette. We do not have time to go as far as Daphne to attend court. Our businesses are getting closer to Bay Minette all the time, and if we appear selfish in that matter of the removal, please excuse us. Our businesses are booming, and we keep 2 engines employed at all times.
All this Bay Minetter has done put me to sleep. Again, can't none of y'all vote. Quiet. On February 5th, 1901, the Alabama legislature passed an act to provide for the removal of the county seat of Baldwin County, Alabama, from Daphne in said county to Bay Minette in said county, because legislative language has to be unnecessarily complicated and repetitive. Bay Minette appointed a contractor, F.M. Dobson. Construction began on the new courthouse and jail in Bay Minette a few days after May 23, 1901. However, before Dobson dug the first foundation footing, Gus B. Stapleton and others filed a lawsuit against Hand and the other Board of Commissioners, and the injunction against the removal of the county seat from Daphne and the construction of a courthouse in Bay Minette. While the judge studied the legal arguments, Hand set in motion the physical removal for the county seat to Bay Minette. The removal of the county seat marked a bitter fight in which several prominent Baldwin County citizens actively engaged in fisticuffs at various times, which happens. In the Baldwin Times issue of January 24th, 1901, 1,500 voters petitioned the legislature to move the county seat to Bay Minette, while 500 favored retention. Fake news.
As you've heard so far, this story has been told by many different people on many different sides of the issue, which means there are different versions of what exactly happened. But this evening is the true story. Most of Baldwin County has heard the story of the courthouse being stolen from Daphne and moved to Bay Minette in the middle of the night. Did it happen in such a dramatic fashion, as they say? Ladies and gentlemen, the storytelling portion of the removal of Baldwin County seat from Daphne to Bay Minette. Mayor Wills and Mr. Cliff McCollum.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here tonight and affording me the opportunity to set the record straight, to give you the truth about the removal of the courthouse from Daphne to Bay Minette There's many false rumors and stories out there about this, or as we like to say, a lot of disinformation. Now let me tell you a little bit about the factual background of what happened here. The problem was that Daphne was such a backward town, it didn't believe in progress, it didn't want a courthouse. It didn't want to progress and have banks and offices and move forward. The only reason the courthouse went to Daphne in 1868, I believe it was, because Blakely, which had been the county seat, had a yellow fever epidemic that wiped it out. So they moved it to Daphne because it was close to the bay, the waterways, which back then were the main method of transportation. That is, except until the railroads came into play. And of course, as we know, the railroad came all the way down from Montgomery into Greenville and Evergreen and Bruton and then to Bay Minette, which opened the floodgates of opportunity for not only Bay Minette, but the entire county to grow economically and in population. And so clearly it was the right thing to do from an economic and practical standpoint to move the county seat to Bay Minette so the entire county could prosper and grow. And the big mules, like Mr. Creamer here, in Daphne were totally opposed to any kind of progress. Captain O'Neill and Mr. Dreyer and some others basically owned the whole town. And when Abner Smith from the Daphne Times went to them and asked them to sell some land to build a bank, they refused and laughed at him. Abner Smith said, well, if you don't do that, I'm going to support the movement to move the courthouse to Bay Minette. And Captain O'Neill laughed at him and told him to go away. One of the complaints about the courthouse in Daphne was Captain O'Neill had a cattle lot right across the street.
Hamburgers right there for sale.
That's right. It's the beginning of McDonald's. And so they had a cattle lot where that office is, close to the courthouse. And when the wind blew out of the west, as they said, it was very odoriferous.
Much like the hot air that's coming out of you right now.
More so that nasty cigar you're smoking on.
If you gonna blow hot air, I'm gonna blow hot air. At least I can enjoy mine.
Well, these people will enjoy the truth while you enjoy your cigar. And so there was a real practicality to the removal of the courthouse to Bay Minette. So those are the practical aspects of it. In a minute, we'll talk about the legal aspects of it. You've already heard some of the facts concerning that. But before I get into that, I'd like to give my worthy opponent the opportunity to respond.
All right, all y'all can wake up now that Bob's done talking. So like a lawyer to just get
Leslie
up here
Hall,
and,
Leslie Hall here.
We do this every year, and I never know who we are. Stop changing things. Mr. Hall, while I understand that you may think that this, now what's the name of this place again?
The county seat of Baldwin County.
Yeah, it's got a name, though. There's a thing, and then the thing y'all don't have, and then Minette. What is it again? Bay.
The Bay.
What bay? What bay have y'all got here? There is no bay anywhere that the eye can see. Y'all are fake Minette, is what you are. Daphne, on the other hand, can't help but see the bay. It's beautiful. It's right there. There is so much commerce coming in that water. Ain't no water up here.
Railroad.
Oh, the railroad. Yeah, because that lovely whistle that we've had the entire time we've been doing this is just so wonderful to listen to.
You got better ears than I do.
Spooks the horses. And you got to wait how long there for the darn thing to get over the track? We ain't got time for that. No, nobody want to deal with that. But let's talk about your bought and paid for cronies in the Alabama legislature.
Some things never change.
They really don't, do they?
No offense over there.
Slight offense. It never fails that you can count on Montgomery to disenfranchise and disengage the common man. They are always going to do everything they can to stop us from voting, from having autonomy, from having freedom, and from doing darn stupid things like moving a county seat up here in the middle of nowhere. But go ahead and do your little legal argument dance, because I'm probably going to have to relight.
We've already heard some information about the Legislative Act and the Supreme Court decisions. Now, Mr. Creamer may have a hard time grasping this, but here's what happened. There was a petition circulated in the county.
To the parts of the county that you wanted it circulated in.
The people who could read and write. So it went and we got the signatures. They were given to the legislative delegation, Senator Hall, who you met a minute ago, and Representative Hoyle, who was actually from Daphne, who supported this. That got to tell might tell most people something. Won't tell him anything, but tells most people something. So they had a petition. They introduced an act in the legislature. It went before a Senate committee.
Oh, yeah, because you can always trust an Alabama Senate committee.
And was debated, and an act was passed in January of 1901 allowing for the removal of the courthouse.
In the middle of the chaos of a governor dying and a lieutenant governor becoming governor that shouldn't have ever been governor, y'all got your little bill passed. Yeah, you did, sir.
All of your excuses remind me of somebody who I won't name at this point. Always an excuse for something. So, Legislative Act gets passed. It comes back to Baldwin County. They appoint the Baldwin County Courthouse Commission, who you've met some of the members of that already. And they move forward with the construction of the courthouse. In the meantime, some of these scallywags from Daphne, what was his name, Stapleton and Creamer, you probably in on it, filed a suit to enjoin or stop the removal of the courthouse. And it went to court here, well, it went to court in Mobile County, because they didn't even have a court that operated in Daphne. They were so backwoods.
Or we
went
just
to
didn't
Mobile
need
County,
one. Wasn't no crime down
and
there.
then it went to the Alabama Supreme Court, not once, but 3 times. Finally, in 1905, the Supreme Court of Alabama ruled that the Baldwin County Commission and the Baldwin County Courthouse Commissioners had all acted appropriately under the Act. The Act was valid, and the courthouse removal, which was done in broad daylight, by the way, was valid. And that's why Baldwin County and Bay Minette has progressed to the point that we are today. A little louder, please. That's better.
And that's why he has to have this event every year up here, because if he had it anywhere else in the county, wouldn't nobody cheer or clap. Tell me I'm wrong. You see, you're quiet now. It's the first time
they come just to see you.
Well, I am quite a sight, as always. Here's the thing. Yeah, you got your law and your court cases from the Alabama Supreme Court, because the Alabama Supreme Court ain't never wrong, are they?
Rarely.
You want to go?
Unless they reverse one of my cases, and they're always wrong then.
I can respect that.
Thank you.
At the end of the day,
the courthouse is here.
It is, unfortunately, because it takes everybody else an hour, 2 hours, 5 days to get here.
That's because it takes anybody in Daphne 2 hours to go 3 blocks in Daphne these days.
Okay, to be fair, that's Lake Forest and everyone gets lost there. But I don't think they need to hear from us. I think they probably just need to see it for themselves. And
I think that would tell the story greatly. But I always enjoy debating with you, Mr. Creamer.
And you as well.
Thank you.
Maddie, Gus Stapleton and others have filed a lawsuit against me and the Board of Commissioners and the County Commission seeking permanent injunction against the removal of the courthouse seat from Daphne and Bay Minette. While the judge is studying the legal arguments, I'm going to set in motion the removal of the courthouse seat to Bay Minette.
Well, JD, we need to hurry on down to Hand Land Company and get that deed so we can start the courthouse construction right here north of the railroad. I think that's the most beautiful spot for a courthouse, don't you?
Yes, right over there.
Today is October 8th, 1901. I will no longer be recording any instruments filed in my probate office in Daphne. There will also be no documents recorded in the courthouse in Daphne, since the plaintiffs failed to seek any type of temporary restraining order or injunction against the prohibition of the transfer pending the litigation's conclusion.
Today is October the 10th, 1901. I am calling this meeting of the Building Committee to order. I have here in my hand Act 19-01267, providing for the removal of the county seat from Baldwin County from Daphne to Bay Minette. I will personally carry out this legislative mandate to remove the county seat of Baldwin County to Bay Minette. The new courthouse in Bay Minette is complete, leaving the physical location of the county's records, books, and other property, and Daphne is the only thing remaining in the plan.
That's right.
Gentlemen, I don't understand why we're waiting. We've heard from the citizens. You have the law in your hand. It's time to take action.
I agree with everything that you're saying. It's time for us to move on this. But what can be done about it? The leaders in Daphne are refusing to turn over the records.
We've got to do something about this, and sooner rather than later. We can't begin to operate till we get those records moved from Daphne to our nice new courthouse.
They don't have to turn them over. I say we just go down there and take them. I have 8 big farm wagons. They're ready to go, secured with strong teams. We'll head out 11 o'clock Thursday night.
I'm in. Me and some of the others who want to help, we'll have our tools and buggies ready. We will meet you at Irwin Livery Stables Thursday night.
Guys, this is what we're going to do. We will gather up all the men that we can find from Bay Minette, tell them to bring their weapons, tools for breaking into the records room. We'll make an overnight ride from Daphne on Thursday night and camp in the woods east of Daphne. And in the early morning hours, we will make our move. We'll meet at Livery Stables.
I tell you, sooner rather than later.
Yes,
I will
sir.
see you Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Remember, when we get there, nobody moves in.
All right.
Wait till you get the signal from me. Y'all got it?
Got it.
Got it.
If my memory serves me correct, J.D. Hand showed up at our door about 2 in the morning, of course. I asked him what business he had about. He had told me they had come down to take the courthouse records, and that Gus Stapleton had filed a lawsuit against him and the other Board of Commissioners seeking to stop the removal of the court seat or the county seat. But he was going to set it in motion anyway.
He sure did. Mr. J.D. Hand came down, told my husband that he had 8 heavy wagons and some men ready to load up all the records. They were going to camp out in the woods, and he wanted breakfast at First Light. So I fixed him a big breakfast. He and his helpers, First Light. The next thing we knew, they were down at the courthouse and the jail taking the records.
On Thursday, October 10th, 1901, after the building committee meeting, Hand notified his men to prepare to travel to Daphne to load up the county records and property. At 7 o'clock p.m., 13 double-team wagons and a contingent of Bay Minette men divided into well-provisioned military-style companies and departed for Daphne. The march continued until 2 a.m. Friday, when the group struck camp 4 or 5 miles from Daphne to await dawn. At First Light, Hand and Company C moved to within 1 mile of the courthouse. The advance guard proceeded to the building. Commissioner Hand will lead Company C to the jail located behind the courthouse. But wait, they ran into one more major problem, and that was the sheriff.
I object to the people from Bay Minette coming down here and think they're going to take this courthouse. They have no right to these records. The county seat is in Daphne, and Daphne will stay, and these records will stay in Daphne.
We have right here the legislative action that says we can take the fixtures, the doors, the windows, everything we're taking back up to Bay Minette.
Mr. Hand, a lawsuit's been filed against you and the other Board of Commissioners. This stuff doesn't mean anything. We have filed for a permanent injunction, which I have in my hand.
Even if every fact alleged the complaint was true, the city of Daphne is not entitled to relief sought as a matter of law, Sheriff.
Yes, sir, Sheriff, you did, and our lawyers responded to that suit by filing a demurrer to the bill complaint, and since the trial judge has not ruled, the county seat is moving to Bay Minette, Sheriff.
Means nothing.
Sir,
Means
we are
nothing.
authorized by the Alabama State Legislature to take this records, and that's exactly what we're fixing to do. So
This is absurd.
Step aside,
no,
sir.
This
Step
is
aside,
absurd.
sir.
This is absurd.
Step
You have no
aside,
right
sir.
to these records today. Just get out. You have no right.
Sure.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, we have here Frederick Richardson. He is accused of breaking in Mr. Lee resident at the Hurricane Bayou. We should put him in jail and lock him up in custody.
Well, thank you, sir, for doing that, but you're going to have to go. Step in here with me, young man. Hey, whoa. Wait a minute. What are y'all doing? What's going on? We getting these records, Sheriff.
Taking them up.
I want every one of you out of my jail right now. You need to leave. You cannot do this.
We're staying
You
inside.
cannot do this.
We're staying inside. We ain't going nowhere, Sheriff.
Sheriff, it would not do for Mr. Hand to be locked up behind
I
bars.
think he's a perfect one to be locked up.
The one thing the sheriff did not do was take away their tools. The men from Bay Minette are inside the jail, all carrying hammers, chisels, hatchets, and axes. The men locked inside, they began disassembling the jail from the inside out.
I may be outnumbered today, but this is not going to take this line down. I have the papers that stop this. I have the papers that say that you can't do this, J.D. Hand. The courthouse is going to go back and stay in Daphne. This is not the first time you've stepped across me, and I'm going to get you for this. You wait and see. This is an amended complaint that takes precedence over the existing law, and the courthouse needs to see in Daphne. You will see me again.
Sheriff, you outnumbered. You don't have enough men to take this jail back. You need to leave now.
J.D. Hand, this is not over. I'm telling you for the last time, you ain't seen the last of me.
We'll be here. We'll be waiting on you. You get on down the road now.
On the other side of the jail were two steel cutters from Company D who were not admitted into the jail when Hand went in. As the sheriff opened the doors to let Mr. Hand out, the door opened wider and the two cutters slipped in, and the men began to disassemble the jail. Once the wagons were loaded, the men set out on their way to Bay Minette. A few men remained in Daphne cutting out the jail cells. The prisoners were removed from the new section of the jail and transferred to the old part and locked up securely. Every movement of the courthouse move was done in a businesslike manner. After the prisoners were safe, the steel workers who were specially secured for the occasion went to work on the front door, and in a short time it was cut out and placed in a wagon that was waiting in the courthouse yard. Every door was then removed from the cages and placed in the wagons, and by night were well on their way to the county seat in Bay Minette. After the physical relocation of the county seat, all county offices were kept in Bay Minette. All terms of court were conducted here. In that decision announced December 19, 1905, Alabama's highest court reversed the Chancery Court's decree of August 31, 1901, dissolved its injunctions, and rendered the case in the defendant's favor. The decision declared the removal of the county seat from Daphne to Bay Minette legal. The Daphne or Eastern Shore plaintiffs had no further recourse in the courts. The L&N Railroad had achieved its goal of placing another county seat on its main line between Montgomery and Mobile, and J.D. Hand's plan was unequivocally successful. The legislature named Bay Minette the county's new center of government on February 5, 1901. Now, you have the truth. The removal really did happen in a dramatic fashion, but none of it happened in the dark.
So just thank y'all for again attending tonight's reenactment skit. We from the Baldwin County Commission appreciate y'all's support. We thank y'all for coming out and enjoying this nice evening with us. Like Ms. Felicia and Mr. Sink has already said, none of this is impossible without the staff that helps us put this kind of stuff together. All the support, the volunteers that work indirectly or directly for us, come together in a way where we work together. We put together this wonderful event, and have a great time doing it. So I always want to thank Ms. Felicia again for doing her role. She's the greatest archivist of all. So thank you, Ms. Felicia. I'm going to allow some of my colleagues here to say a few words if they want to, and thank y'all.
Thank you, guys. I'm Billy Jo Underwood, one of the county commissioners, and I just thank you for coming out tonight. The first time I heard about this event, I was suckered into it. I just like, yes. And I think this is just such an amazing opportunity. This is like out of a movie set or something when you watch these movies where you have the courthouse square, and this is the only place in Baldwin County where we see this, and I just really love coming up here. Yes, we think from the other part of the county it was stolen, but you know, it's here to stay. We're not going to try to take it back. But anyhow, although, you know, but thank you so much. Some of my family came out tonight. I thank you guys and all you people. We just appreciate it. And thank you, Felicia. Thank you for finding a place for all of us to fit in.
I'm Matt McKenzie. I just want to say thank y'all for coming out again. Felicia did an awesome job. When she asked me to do this, I was a little bit nervous, but you know, I could do it, and so I appreciate it. And just want to say thank y'all for coming out and supporting Felicia and all the crew. Thank you.